Kierkegaard's concluding Unscientific Postscript, an introduction. This book was written by Kierkegaard under the pseudonym Johannes Climacus, but Kierkegaard added his own name as editor, possibly to indicate the proximity of Climacus's views to his own. Climacus is a highly educated thinker and philosopher who has clearly studied Hegel. But one day, in a graveyard, he is forced to confront his own mortality, as well as reflect on how philosophers behave in the face of their own imminent deaths. Climacus claims we can think about such existential questions in one of two ways, objectively or subjectively. An objective approach emphasises the object. It is a detached, impartial and dispassionate approach. It is good for dealing with areas where the facts can be known, such as history or mathematics. An objective approach to death involves learning facts about it as a general concept. On the other hand, a subjective approach emphasises the subject or person. It is a personal approach involving one's passion, emotions and experiences. It is the only valid approach to existential questions about one's own life, values and commitments. A subjective approach to death entails appropriating it and responding to it as a reality that threatens me and which requires an existential response from me. An objective approach to existential questions is inappropriate because we cannot know the answers. They are also passionate, emotional questions because they're about the very meaning of our lives. In the light of our uncertainty, all we can do is choose our responses and passionately commit on the basis of our subjective experiences. This leads Climacus to make his infamous claim, truth is subjectivity. By this he does not mean the relativist view that our belief makes something true, but rather that living out an authentic life in the face of our limits, including death, entails subjectively developing myself and my way of being. For this reason, Kierkegaard says he is interested in different ways of being in the world, to become a self. He wants, once again, to read through solo, if possible in a more inward way, the original text of individual human existence relationships. Climacus states that a central question of the book is, how does one become a Christian? He explores religion and Christianity as ways of being in the world, asking how one lives them out and experiences the world within them, as well as how they respond to challenges like suffering, guilt and death. He takes an existential, expressive view of religion. Religions are about human existence, your existence, but also about your relationships to other people and, ultimately, your relationship to God. At the core of religious ways of being is the commitment of faith. What is faith? He describes faith as a risky commitment. Without risk, no faith. It is a commitment in the face of complete uncertainty and doubt. Like all commitments, we have to commit without knowing whether we'll be successful and whether we should. In faith commitment, one risks more because one's entire life and eternity is at stake. This is why we call it a leap of faith. It also involves pathos or passion, and it is transforming, changing the way we live by how we appropriate it. The first type of faith Climacus considers is religiousness A. This commitment involves renunciation of one's worldly concerns, not by giving them up, but by refusing to let them have decisive claims on one's existence. Climacus calls this relativizing our relative ends. Instead, we must make the absolute to us in our commitment, being prepared to sacrifice everything for this most important relationship. Having tried this, we enter religiousness B. As Climacus claims, we discover our inability to achieve it. Look at the suffering and horror in the world around you. We cannot prove the existence of a loving God. Indeed, it seems unlikely, even contradictory and absurd. We cannot reach God through our reason, abilities, or nature. We encounter God as the absolute paradox, but this situation intensifies faith to its highest pitch and is the occasion for divine grace. Subjective commitment is integral to the human condition, but passionate paradoxical religious faith brings cohesion, focus and meaning to one's life as the fullest expression of what it is to be a self.
created using Powtoon.